When, in November 1986, on the screens of 88 American cinemas, came fantasy action movie The Wraith, with Charlie Sheen in the title role, he did not cause a stir at the ticket office, nor enthusiastic reviews of film critics.
Господи Боже!
And all because, in fact, it was a very mediocre movie, with elements of fiction, with elements of action, with elements of romance, and very little nudity. At that time, Hollywood as well, in general, as well as today, stamped such masterpieces in packs, and no one paid much attention to them. But all this is true only if you consider The Wraith as a certain artistic movie work. But if you look at the movie as a very long video clip, where under the music of Bonnie Tyler, Billy Idol, Ozzy Osbourne, and other great rockers from the 80s, a fantasy road action unfolds. The movie doesn't seem so bad at all, especially since the real stars of The Wraith were not people at all. They were cars, and only cars. It is worth only one Corvette of the main villain, or a yellow Firebird with a non-functioning compressor in the hood, or a Barracuda painted by the hand of a stoned punk,
Куда ему против барракуды-то?
or a magnificent red Daytona, today almost forgotten, but in its time a very significant car for Chrysler, about which I already told you once. And of course the main character of the movie, its main star is Dodge PPG M4S, or Turbo Interceptor, a unique machine, a real hypercar of its time, designed for driving at speeds over 200 miles per hour. But let's talk about everything in order. By the 80s, as you know, America began to forget about huge V-shaped engines, the power of which was mainly determined by the volume and compression ratio in the cylinders. Distributed injection, turbocharging and twin camshafts have already started to be seen as the main solutions to boost the power of stunted, small-cylinder, four-cylinder engines. But everything has its limit, and when mechanical upgrades exhaust the engine, aerodynamics comes into play. Only an aerodynamically calibrated body can turn a fast car into a very fast car. And the Dodge M4S really had something to boast about in this regard. This is a '79 Ford Mustang, and its aerodynamic drag coefficient was 0.46, and this is an '87 Ferrari F40 with a coefficient of 0.34. And this is the modern Lexus ICE of the 2020 model year, which has an aerodynamic drag coefficient of 0.28. Well, and Dodge PPG M4S, which debuted at the Detroit Auto Show in January of '86, showed simply incredible for its time figure of 0.236 thousandths. But in order to achieve such an indicator, was carried out a colossal work, the beginning of which was laid in June 1983 at a business meeting between representatives of Chrysler and PPG, or Pittsburgh Plate Glass Company, one of the world's largest manufacturers of paint coatings and high-tech materials. The point is that at that time PPG was closely cooperating with all the big Detroit 3, supplying them with paints and varnishes for car production, as well as taking part in the creation of so-called pace cars, safety cars used in circuit races in case of dangerous situations. At the aforementioned meeting, it was decided to create another such car, which would both serve as a pace car in the kart IndyCar racing series sponsored by PPG at the time, and become a show concept that, like any other show car, could demonstrate the most advanced technology available to the automaker. Chrysler's fastest pace car at the time was the specially prepared Daytona Turbo Z with a top speed of 175 miles per hour or 282 kilometers per hour. The new car was expected to exceed a top speed of 200 miles per hour. The designer Robert Ackerman, who had been working at Chrysler since 1969 and was actively involved in the design of the Dodge Challenger, was put in charge of this ambitious project. In addition to Chrysler and PPG, several other independent American companies participated in the M4S project. One of them was California firm Hypercar Engineering, which built for its own needs racing tubular chassis, which Chrysler later bought and took as a basis for the M4S. The second firm was Specialized Vehicle Incorporated of Michigan. It was engaged in the creation of the engine for the car, as well as all the work related to the modification of the Hypercar chassis based on the requirements of Chrysler. The third company involved in the project is 3D Industries Inc. out of Madison. The guys from 3D Industries used Ackerman's drawings to create clay dummies of the bodies, which were then sent to Chrysler and tested for aerodynamics. Final testing of the prototype body was done in the Lockheed Wind Tunnel in Georgia. According to Robert Ackerman, it was the most intense time of work on the project. A minute of stay in the Lockheed Tube cost about $80, and the management did not want to pay extra money for the sluggishness of employees, so everyone had to run, literally. Finally, the last firm involved in the M4S project was Special Project Inc. of Plymouth. They produced the final body panels, did the painting and interior fabrication. The main material for the body panels was fiberglass provided by PPG. The same company produced all paint materials for the car. The color of the car, by the way, was also chosen by PPG guys. And to be more precise, it was chosen by some lady from the top management of this company. The drop-shaped form of the body of Dodge M4S with the cut back part was considered, and continues to be considered till now, the most successful from the point of view of aerodynamics. For the first time, such design was developed by German scientist Wunibald Kamm back in the 30s, for what it received the name camback. Further improvements in body aerodynamics were achieved experimentally with side ducts, a hood air intake, front splitters and side skirts, and a powerful anti-wing integrated deep into the rear of the body. The skirts and splitters were made of conventional rubber, but made a significant contribution to improving the car's aerodynamic profile. The acronym M4S with, in the model name, literally stands for mid-engine four-cylinder sports car. And this four-cylinder sports car had at its disposal, pay attention, 440 horsepower. 440 horsepower and over 600 Newton meters of torque from a 2.2-liter four-cylinder engine. Obviously, this powertrain had little in common with the original engine, Chrysler's 84 horsepower 2.2-liter inline-four, used extensively in the 80s in standard form on such models as the Dodge Omni, Daytona, Charger, and Chrysler Laser. Engineers at Specialized Vehicle Incorporated did some serious work on the base engine, turning it into a little monster with twin camshafts, a 16-valve Cosworth cylinder head, and twin Garrett turbos. With this engine at its disposal, the Dodge PPG M4S, weighing 1,160 kilograms and measuring 472 centimeters in length, could accelerate to 60 miles per hour or 97 kilometers per hour in just 4.1 seconds. But not everything went as smoothly as planned. The M4S was supposed to break the 200 miles per hour mark, but it failed. 194.8 miles per hour was all the car was capable of. Ackerman recalled that, having done a lot of work to improve the aerodynamics of the body, he had hoped to see a figure of 210 or even 212 miles, and was sorely disappointed to learn that even the 200-mile barrier had not been breached. Ackerman was convinced that a failed transmission, a 5-speed manual built from scratch that sent torque to the rear wheels, was to blame. According to Ackerman, Chrysler had at its disposal at that time excellent racing boxes, ZF and Hewland, but the company's management decided to use its own, largely not finalized know-how, which was a big mistake. However, there is an opposite opinion, expressed by one of the engineers of the M4S project, who worked at Specialized Vehicles. According to him, the transmission assembled from Chrysler components by Liberty Gear specialists was simply excellent, and only insufficiently elaborated body design did not allow the car to accelerate to the planned speed. On the one hand, Ackerman's disappointment is understandable. More than a year of work and almost $1.5 million were spent on the Dodge PPG M4S project, and the task was not accomplished. But still, 194.8 miles per hour is, 313.5 kilometers per hour. Quite an outstanding figure for a car created in the early 80s and equipped with a 2.2-liter four-cylinder engine. Isn't that fast compared to the 1985 5.7-liter Corvette with a top speed of 240 kilometers? Anyway, as much as Robert Ackerman was worried, he and the dozens of other people involved in the creation of the M4S really had something to be proud of. They had succeeded in creating an amazing car and a superb pace car, with performance more than enough to lead the IndyCar race.
Into the pit area, and we get set now to begin the 300-kilometer race here at Laguna Seca, and the green flag is out.
The pace car Dodge PPG M4S began its immediate work duties in the late '84 kart IndyCar season and competed in all of the season's races held at 15 famous American racetracks, including Laguna Seca. At the end of '85, the kart racing season was over, and the Dodge PPG M4S entered a well-deserved retirement. In January '86, the car took an honorable place in the Dodge showroom at the Detroit Auto Show, and for several months traveled to less important American auto shows. And then, in the history of its life, began the second chapter, during which the Turbo Interceptor appeared. It should be clarified that the only correct name of the Dodge car is the PPG M4S pace car, and Turbo Interceptor is just the name of the car in the movie, mentioned only once.
Она на улице. Turbo Interceptor. Единственный экземпляр.
Mike Marvin, director of The Wraith, personally wrote the script for this movie. According to him, at the time of writing the script, he had no idea what a Turbo Interceptor should look like. The fact that it was an M4S was an absolute coincidence. It was simply the easiest thing for the producers of the movie to negotiate with Chrysler, who provided this and a few other cars in exchange for a little built-in advertising. First of all, the Dodge Daytona model that debuted in late '83 was advertised. Notice how, at the beginning of the movie, it easily overtook the Corvette from the start. Although the 230 horsepower sports car from General Motors was supposed to immediately pull away from the Daytona, the most powerful turbo version of which had only 142 horses. Another serious advertising insert slipped in at the end of the movie, a hefty Dodge lettering on the Interceptor itself. According to the director, he didn't want the Dodge logo to appear in the shot, but the producers insisted on this scene. The Wraith was filmed in Arizona. The original PPG M4S was delivered to the filming location, but this car did not appear in the movie. Only a few static close-ups of the real pace car were made. In most of the rest of the scenes were filmed movie copies of the car, which have little in common with the real concept. There were 6 such copies. 4 of them were just bodies on tubular frames with no engines, and 2 more were real cars with an engine, speedometer, and driver's seat. They were essentially buggies with bodies very similar to the M4S, equipped, for some unknown reason, with Volkswagen powertrains. Now you see a photo taken by some of the staff on the set. It shows a real PPG M4S with guillotine-type doors, popularly called Lambo doors. However, all the replica cars in the movie were equipped with gull-wing-type doors, much cheaper to manufacture. Be that as it may, it cost $50,000 to make each working replica, which would be about $120,000 today. Most of this amount was for the cost of the bodies, which were made using the same methodology as the original pace car body. Although the overall reaction to the Wraith was negative, most critics recognized that the racing scenes were very well done and realistic. But the price of that realism was the life of assistant cameraman Bruce Ingram. During the filming of one of the high-speed scenes on a mountain road near the city of Tucson, the driver of the cameraman's car, with 7 other people in it, failed to control and crashed into a rock. Ingram died at the scene, and the others suffered varying degrees of injuries. One of the crew members was left permanently paralyzed. When the filming of the movie was completed, the 2 working filming prototypes were sold into private hands. One was forever lost from view, but the other changed ownership several times, was completely rebuilt and repainted in original pace car colors, and instead of a Volkswagen engine, was given a Pontiac 4.8-liter V6 compressor. In 2015, this car was sold to a new owner for $150,000. The original Dodge PPG M4S, on the other hand, was on public display at the Walter Percy Chrysler Museum, but the museum closed on December 18, 2016, and its collection was dispersed to various locations. I have never been able to find information regarding the current location of the Dodge PPG M4S. Unfortunately, this unique car has gone down in history for the most part with its appearance in the movie The Wraith, and almost no one remembers the fact that it was one of the pioneers of twin-cam and twin-turbo technology applied to the same powertrain.